Hey everybody, sorry if I sound a bit run down and blocked. I have got quite a bit of a stinking cold, so not the best time, but I wanted to do some reviews anyway. So today we're going to be reviewing the brand new album by Kid Kapichi. This is Fearless Nature, the first album following the departure of the guitarist Ben Beatham and drummer George McDonald, who left to pursue other projects, which, and I guess also a bit of creative differences, seems to be the part of it. So it only just leaves the vocals as well as the rhythm guitarist Jack Wilson and the bassist Eddie Lewis. So because of that dynamic, we've had quite a bit of a shift with Kid Kapichi's songwriting. We normally get to see kind of the more punky, fun rock energy of the band. Matter of fact, I feel like here's what you could have won, and There Goes the Neighborhood are just like two albums I just enjoy a lot. Fun songs on there. They got some bit more serious songs as well, but the energy on them is just kind of what got me hooked into onto the band. But I haven't really cared for any of the singles for this release. We had Stainless Steel, which I feel like has got a good instrumentation. It's not bad actually, but I'm just not really big on the vocals on it. I just feel like it's a bit too I just find the song a bit too lackluster. Like, it's got some charm, but I just don't think it really shows too much of the flair of Kid Kapichi's stronger writing. Shoe Size was just not a good song in my opinion. It has this very repetitive, weak chorus to it, and instrumentally it's just one of the most dull Kid Kapichi songs I've heard. We had Rabbit Hole, which I again didn't really care for this one. Just, why was this the last track anyway? I don't really like it when bands just release the final song as a single, because it just kind of ruins the surprise of how the album's going to end. And now you know how it's going to end, there's just not really any charm into the final track to it. And Worst Kept Secret, probably the best. I feel like this one has Jack Wilson's best vocal performance, from the record at least, but I'm just not really a fan of it whatsoever. It just still feels like a very dull, weak song from Kid Kapichi. So I've just not really been enticed with the singles, and thought, well, we'll have to see how the non-album tracks, the non-album singles work. Well, no, just how the tracks work that aren't singles is probably a better way to frame it. And unfortunately, while I didn't mind Leader of the Free World and thought that one was okay, I started noticing why I wasn't a big fan of the record with Intervention. Even lyrically, I just feel like this one kind of loses a bit of the uniqueness I liked with Kid Kapichi. There's definitely a lot more iconic, more silly vocals. I mean, you're not a has-been, you're a Heinz-been or something like that is one of the most charming vocal lyrics I've heard from Kid Kapichi, and we just kind of get this a lot more serious, more moody, I guess in some sort of post-punky sound they wanted to go for. It just kind of screams very basic though from what we've heard before, and I feel like this just feels like a big downgrade. And there's a lot more bass, there's a lot more rhythm guitar, and obviously vocals, because you know it's a band. But because you have that as the kind of you pretty much have that to take the front row, because those are the only founding members of the band left. It just kind of feels very disjointed, like a deconstructed sound of what we could have had with the last record. And I just feel like there's just not really anything I see myself wanting to go back to here. It's just a very boring, weak record of Kid Kapichi's, and I find this to be easily the worst thing they've done. It's unfortunate that we've had two original members leave, and now they've had to get new people to fill in, but I'm just not really impressed much with the drumming either on this one. It just kind of feels very simple. Guitars as well, like, they're okay, but they don't really do anything exciting. Instrumentally, it's just fine to and that's not a great range when everything else is kind of slowed down a bit. Bass is definitely prioritized more because, well, it's the only original component left other than the rhythm guitar, and it doesn't even feel like it makes the songs any better, if anything. The thing I can applaud them for is exploring a different sound, knowing the circumstances, and I can kind of see why this would have a bit of a appeal to some, but honestly for me, I think this is just easily Kid Kapichi just run down, and I don't really see myself enjoying this direction they've gone for at all, to be honest. It's not a horrible sound, and there's definitely moments of good writing, moments of good sounds, but with just how much I just felt so bored listening to it, it's not an album I'm really gonna see myself going back into to find what interests me, because there's hardly anything. Like, even when you had songs like Party at number 10, I felt like they were just stronger songs than what we got here. At least, like, you can definitely tell they related to a bit more of that kind of political punk sound. Now here, while you do get that, it just feels so sluggish, and this more post-punky, moody, darker direction just doesn't really do anything for me. It just feels like Kid Kapichi's got a grey cloud over them, and all the vibrant, upbeat songs you can get, like Tamagotchi, Let's Get to Work, Can You Hear EU, Can EU Hear Me? God, I'm fumbling this today. I've got a cold, so you should probably excuse me on this time. Yeah, and just like a lot of songs like that, even from the last album, was just great. And we did have some kind of slower songs on Here's What You Could Have Won, but I still feel like they had the perfect mixture of what they needed for that kind of classic Kid Kapichi sound. Here, I just felt genuinely bored listening to this. This is probably one of the most disappointing albums of the year. I love Kid Kapichi, and I just don't know what this album wanted to be. I felt like they had an idea, but it just, in that case, it just felt like they had to sell other, kind of sell part of their soul to kind of get a bit more of a dampened experience, and I'm just not really in for it. Some songs like Dark Days Are Coming, I don't recollect anything about that song. It is just so dull in my opinion. Head Right's got some decent vocals, but I don't think there's anything in particular that's exciting, especially when some of the best vocals are on previous records, and Tar Pit is just one that I feel like we can get some vocals like that again, that'll be sick, but it's just kind of tame now. It's just not really exciting. Even lyrics in some songs like Intervention, the chorus on that, Intervention, Intervening, whatever the chorus was, it's just not very well constructed here. I personally think this is easily the big weak point in Kid Kapichi's sound, and I'm going to have to give him a 2 out of 5 for it. I just don't really have any interest in this one at all. The single should have been kind of a the singles should have kind of given me that leeway of what this album would be like, but I still had hope for it, and I just think as an execution I just didn't really have any joy with this one, and it's so bad because I absolutely love There Goes the Neighborhood. It's not the perfect punky rock album, but it just had so much of that Kid Kapichi fun. Tamagotchi's still my favourite song by the band, 100%. The references, the kind of more tongue-in-cheek, upbeat feel to it, to the instrumentals. I love the kind of harsher sound it has, but then it also goes into quite a dark bit of you're growing older, you're feeling too old, and life succeeds you, but now we're just getting stuff that makes me even more depressed, and doesn't even go into stuff like that, so yeah, I'm just not really feeling this one, to be honest, but I hope you enjoy. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next video.